Hello again everybody, just a couple of things for you this week, one rather long one and one much shorter one. I'll get straight into it. As you can see, I'm working on a neck here. It's at the stage of, I've done the rough shaping, so everything's more or less the right shape, and I'm working on the transitions, between the flat areas here and here, into the curved areas. So I've got my finest rasp, which leaves the surface almost as good as sandpaper. It's fantastic. The brand is Lutherie, and I'm working with 80 and 120 grit sandpaper. I've done the usual shoe shining with a tool I've shown before, and I've got a variety of sanding pads here. I know I've shown some of these before, but the point of this is to show how they can be used in combination for a particular job, which is basically refining the shape of the neck before final sanding. So this one's a commercial pad, double-sided, but we'll discount that for the time being because I want to show everyday things which I've turned into sanding blocks. I've shown the pencil eraser before. This is useful for just this kind of transition here, where you've got one straight area going into a second straight area, and because the wedge here tapers, obviously, it curves up nicely and gets a nice smooth transition, and at the beginning end of the neck as well you can use it. Two more I've got here are pieces of foam. One from, this is the kind of packing you get in when tools come delivered in a plastic box or something. Very often you get this kind of hard, very dense cell foam, which is quite useful. Again, it's got a certain amount of give in it. If you want a bit more flexibility, this is a piece of mouse mat, which I use for the transitions between, again, straight areas and the beginnings of a curve. So around here, this area, you can use it, like this, but this is actually very flexible, so it's nice and easy to bend into tight curves like that. For the actual tightest curves, I use a wine cork, which again I've shown before, I know, but that's good for these kind of tight areas here. And also for the coming up into the neck here, there's again a certain amount of give in the cork, but if you want even more, I rescue, I don't know where this came from, it's just a piece of polystyrene, expanded polystyrene, no, not expanded polystyrene, but polystyrene foam. It's a bit squidgy, but again it's got a good amount of flexibility both ways, that both sort of out from the outside inwards, and also you can bend it to shape, so that conforms very well to complex shapes like the heel. Again, I think I've shown this one before, but it's a piece of pipe insulation, but it's great for exactly this area here. And I think that's it. Oh yes, I've just wrapped a piece of sandpaper around a dowel. I've got various sizes of these, obviously, but again, that's for very tight areas where you've got perhaps a small lump which you need to get out. Then you can use, obviously, just a piece of dowel. And this is another one I've shown before, but again, quite useful for more in final sanding, just a felt pad. This is part of a kid's board rubber. So you again, you can use it for transitions in the final sanding phase. So that's it for the sanding blocks. This second one, just rather quickly, because the sanding one went on rather a long time, rather like sanding itself, I suppose, are these three little things here. This one is just a mounted needle, so a needle I've just stuck into the end of a piece of dowel, and a couple of dental tools, which I think I got from a market stall somewhere, but you can find them online as well. I do quite a lot of inlay work, and some of it is kind of detailed, small, fiddly. This is the neck you saw me working on earlier in the video. It's now a few weeks later, and it's at a more advanced stage, nearly final, in fact. Anyway, the kind of inlays I'm talking about are these some of these rather small pieces here need placing, and you need something fine to manipulate it with. My fingers anyway, are much too coarse, and but something like a needle, which in fact you can even spear into the wood if you're careful, to place it exactly. It works very well, and these curved pieces are useful for kind of shoving it around till things get in the right place. And that's actually even more true on this kind of inlay, where I use epoxy resin, black black epoxy putty, and I embed stuff into it. So this was done, the outer disc, which is what it was originally. I've CNC'd to get the pattern. Then I drilled a hole in the middle, and I've set this other smaller disc inside. And all of it is set into epoxy putty. And to get things placed accurately, it's very useful to have this kind of tool. With the taper on the needle means you can actually spear it in and nudge the thing into position just by using the taper, the increase in thickness, to as you push in further, it pushes the piece you're concerned with to one side in the putty, and when it's exactly right, you can just leave it to set, obviously, and tidy it up afterwards, fill in the gaps and everything. So these tools are really handy for this kind of placement of small parts. That's all from me for this episode, so see you next time. Goodbye for now.